In the southern desert heat, Botswana, a land of contrasts. From the parched salt pans of Makgadikgadi to the oasis of the Okavango Delta, boasting a wealth of natural resources and ancient cultures, alongside a fast-growing modern nation. This is Botswana from above. Botswana, a nation landlocked by 4 countries. This journey travels along the Okavango River into the world's biggest inland delta, across vast desert plains, before reaching its modern capital city in the south. But it starts in the northwest. Bigger than France, Botswana stretches almost 600,000 square kilometers. This vast land is also one of the flattest countries on Earth. On these seemingly endless plains, you can even see the curvature of the Earth. In such a flat landscape, the towering rock formations of the Tsodilo Hills have played an important role throughout history. Humans have been coming to these quartzite rock formations for 100,000 years. Making this one of the world's oldest historical sites. The evidence is painted all over the sheer cliff faces. A 1,400-meter-high rock canvas, 4,500 paintings were created by both the Bantu and San people. Some as far back as the Stone Age. Many hold the belief that these hills are the birthplace of all creation. It's now a World Heritage Site, reminding humankind of our early origins. Just beyond the hills lies the primary source of all life in this region. Botswana's semi-arid climate has 2 main seasons, a bountiful wet summer and a long dry winter, which can sometimes mean 6 months without rain. But here on the border with Namibia, there's a permanent source of water. Originating in Angola, the Okavango carves its way over 1,500 kilometers. This stretch is known as the Panhandle, meandering towards its final destination in the Kalahari Desert. Along the way, it provides a paradise for over 400 species of birds, from powerful predators to elegant waders. The river is also a popular destination for carmine bee-eaters. Every year they migrate here from Central Africa to raise their young. As with all couples, house hunting is an important step when starting a family. The Okavango's riverbanks are prime real estate. Burrowing a metre into the ground, females lay their eggs out of harm's way. No neighbourhood is totally safe, but it's a popular location. Colonies can be 200 strong here. But the river doesn't just provide a home for wildlife. People have also lived along the Okavango for millennia. And along its banks, a plant used in one of history's most important inventions. Papyrus was used by the Egyptians to make parchment for writing over 4,000 years ago. Other varieties of reed found here are still being used to this day. People like Kunyanda Katimo make their living from this bountiful plant.
We start to harvest in July until November or October. That's when we can stop cutting the reeds.
Kunyanda and her friends are stockpiling building materials. They're part of the Hambukushu tribe, whose ancestors originate from South Angola. Many fled to Botswana in the 1960s, fleeing Portuguese attacks during the Angolan War of Independence. But working here is not without its dangers.
When we are cutting, there are so many animals which we come across, like snakes, crocodiles, even hippo, or even elephants or buffaloes.
Across Africa, 500 people are killed by hippos each year. Weighing in at over 1.5 tons, these herbivorous heavyweights are not to be messed with. Despite their diet, their giant teeth and powerful jaws, used to fend off predators, can easily crush a person. But with half of Botswana's rural population living below the poverty line, people like Kunyanda have few options.
I started while I'm 19 years. When I saw the elder people going, then I was interested on doing it.
Each bundle will fetch just €5. But there are no delivery trucks to transport them to market. Instead, they're picked up the Okavango way. Mokoros were traditionally carved out of wood, but are now being made from fiberglass, helping preserve the region's trees. Once the cargo arrives at its final destination, it'll be dried and used to construct and renovate houses throughout the Okavango region. Just 1 kilometre from the river, another age-old practice is still continued to this day. Here on the rapidly drying floodplains of the Okavango, water levels are at their lowest during these winter months. Only a few pools remain. It's the toughest time of year for wildlife and people. But for the women of the Hambukushu tribe, these are the perfect conditions for an ancient fishing technique. Handmade wicker baskets are used as a net. Low water levels should make it easier. But it'll still take a group effort. There are 5 tribes in the area, each with its own approach, as well as their own language, identity and customs. The Hambukushu have embraced their environment and become expert anglers. They don't just rely on their baskets. These women have another trick up their sleeve. Meet Diponejo.
Kutanga kumbiru nenga tuendanga na nyakudetu modo mumavia mumu takwenda kufuta nodo muhonyi.
Using cut grass, a movable enclosure is used, known locally as a kraal.
Isizo tunakwatanga twakwatanga sizo kutsana hangundu, hamulomo sikaushu, hangwefi, handembe, thosizo twakwatanga mumavia etu.
Over 70 varieties of fish are found here, feeding both humans and animals. Thanks to their ingenious fishing methods, their families will continue to have plenty to eat, even in the dry season. Living at one with nature, in sync with the land, is a key part of Hambukushu culture. A way of life that will be passed on from generation to generation.
Dino ikuru pera kuninga shahane tu haki ya mnyimane nao hatsanera hakuna wane.
But the world around them is changing. The Okavango has flowed through this landscape for 2 million years, with people wanting to cross the river since the dawn of humankind. Ferries have long been the popular option, but signs of a modernizing Botswana have begun to appear. The Mohembo Bridge, now nearing completion, will be the first to connect its banks. At over 1 kilometre in length, it's the longest in the country. 30 cables are held up by 55-metre towers, built using an iconic elephant tusk design. The waters flowing below will soon arrive at a grand design of their own. 100 kilometres downstream, the river floods into the largest inland delta in the world. This is one of Africa's most famous great wildernesses. The Okavango Delta covers almost 17,000 square kilometres. A seemingly endless maze of permanent marshlands and seasonal floodplains. It may be dry season here in Botswana, but rainfall from upstream in the Angolan highlands flows into the delta. And the delta swells to 3 times its size. By the end of the season, 95% of the water has vanished, sucked into the earth or evaporating into the dry atmosphere, resulting in a unique habitat that's now a World Heritage Site and a haven for wildlife. Over 130 mammal species live here, including some of Africa's most iconic species. It's also a refuge. Elephants from the surrounding countries migrate here for safety. After being hunted to near extinction in the 19th century, the country introduced strict laws which helped the population bounce back. Botswana is now home to 1/3 of all the elephants in Africa. 130,000 of them. The Okavango Delta is a haven for other huge herds. Cape buffalo can number over 1,000 strong. They move between the permanent waterways of northern Botswana, making this one of the best places in Africa to see them. It's the perfect habitat for these hulking giants. Weighing nearly a ton means they eat and drink a lot. Needing 45 litres of water per day, they rarely roam far from the nearest source. Never far behind is the oxpecker, a small bird that keeps the buffalo bug-free. Wildlife here has drawn tourists since the 90s. 2 million people a year vacation in Botswana, many spending time on safari. Due to the annual floods, one of the best ways to see the delta is on the water. Boats are a safe way to experience Africa's most famous wildlife, offering guests a glimpse of amazing animal behaviors. Almost 30% of Botswana's wilderness is now protected, cementing the country as a world-class tourist destination, providing jobs for Botswanans and international visitors to help fund the reserves and protect wildlife. Just southeast of the lush Okavango Delta lies the second biggest desert in Africa. Stretching over 900,000 square kilometers over multiple countries, the Kalahari covers most of Botswana. Its name means great thirst. Temperatures regularly hit a blistering 45 degrees Celsius. On the edge of the delta lies Lake Ngami, usually fed by the Okavango, but often the water never arrives. Wildlife can become stranded. It's not just the animals struggling. The lake provides an income for local fishermen. Low water levels may make it easy, but the last of the fish will soon be picked clean. The continent is no stranger to droughts. It's hard to say if it's the direct result of climate change, but it could be a forewarning of things to come. Just a few hundred kilometers away, one industry is helping push Botswana forward. The country's development is being funded by the world's most desired gem. Many of them are unearthed here. 1 kilometer across and 200 meters deep, Gaborone mine is a world-class operation. It's the only mine to recover 3 stones in excess of 1,000 carats, worth around 80 million euros each. But to get at them requires an extraordinary amount of force. Twice a week, the area is secured. expensive equipment is driven to safety. All personnel retreat at least 500 meters. The countdown begins.
4, 3, 2, 1, fire, fire, shot para fire.
"30 tons of explosives rip through the earth, displacing around 50,000 tons of rock. The industry generates 40% of Botswana's GDP, providing jobs for nearly a quarter of the country's 2.3 million residents, and making Botswana one of the world's biggest diamond producers. The precious stones are found in hard kimberlite rock, requiring intensive processing before they're revealed. In its current form, the ore is too large to handle. It's fed into a powerful mill and refined into smaller pieces, and finally sorted by hand, helping Karowe turn over 120 million euros a year. Many other countries which possess such precious natural resources have suffered exploitation. But a different story has played out in Botswana. Diamonds were discovered after independence in 1967, and the country has since thrived. Today, 80% of profits generated from these diamonds go to the Botswanan government and are used to help better the country for all. "100 kilometers to the east is a gleaming example of the infrastructure built by the nation's mineral wealth. The A1 runs the length of the entire country. It's part of the Trans-African network, 56,000 kilometers of highway that connects the continent from Egypt to South Africa. But for Botswana's wildlife, they're an obstacle. Their ancient migratory routes have been broken. Each year, the elephants repeat long journeys in search of food and water. During a prolonged dry season, they can travel over 100 kilometers. But roads are getting in their way. As the nation develops, humans and animals are more likely to come face to face, increasing the chances of deadly encounters. One answer could be wildlife corridors, protected, safe passages such as bridges or tunnels that connect wild habitats, allowing these majestic creatures to continue their prehistoric migration routes unharmed. Just a few kilometers away could be where humankind began its own journey. The Makgadikgadi salt pans are one of Botswana's most iconic habitats. So big, they're even visible from space. Stretching over 30,000 square kilometers, they're the size of Belgium. An alien landscape that was once one of the world's largest inland seas. But tectonic activity disrupted the flow of rivers that fed into it, and the water evaporated, leaving behind little more than a network of salt pans. and potential secrets of our very own origins. Human DNA from across the world can be traced back to Botswanans, and scientists believe this could be the birthplace of Homo sapiens 200,000 years ago. Today, baobabs are the only signs of life breaking the horizon. This small crop is known as the Baines baobabs, named after British explorer Thomas Baines, who famously painted them in the 1860s. An ancient species, they predate the splitting of the continents during the Jurassic period. Despite looking like trees, they're actually flowering plants. The oldest specimen on record was around 2,500 years old. Storing up to 120,000 litres of water in their trunk helps them endure this region's dry climate. But these ancient plants aren't invincible. In the last 2 decades, the greatest baobabs have begun to die off across Africa. Thought to be a combination of drought and rising temperatures. It's not just the plant life that struggles to survive here. The Makgadikgadi salt flats consist of 3 distinct pans: Sowa, Ntwetwe, and Kai. And here, the lack of water is becoming critical. Like much of the country, the dry season here can be savage and only made worse by drought. Most animals have moved north into the Okavango and beyond. For the stragglers, the situation is becoming desperate. But a lifeline has been thrown. The water in this artificial pool is pumped in, providing salvation for those en route to greener pastures. This herd of zebra are part of the longest migration in Africa. 30,000 of them travel 500 kilometers north every year to escape the dry season. Once the rains arrive here, this desolate landscape will transform into lush green pastures, and the Great Migration will reverse. Human development into this wilderness had halted this ancient cycle for decades. But since the millennium, fences have been removed and the migrations resumed, allowing one of Africa's greatest spectacles to return in force. This journey's next stop boasts another spectacular sight. On the far side of Makgadikgadi, the rains have started to arrive. Pools are already forming at Suapan, attracting southern Africa's most flamboyant waterbirds. Seasonal flooding eventually creates an immense wetland. Flocks of flamingos gather in their hundreds and thousands. During times of above-average rains, the lake-like pan remains filled throughout the year, creating a prime breeding location for these colourful birds. And one of Botswana's greatest natural spectacles. "200 kilometers to the south, people continue to maintain a lifestyle little different to our ancestors. Central Kalahari Game Reserve is the second biggest in the world. Established in 1961 and stretching for almost 53,000 square kilometers, it's larger than the Netherlands. It's a protected wilderness, but some people live along its borders, and they've roamed the entire region for thousands of years. This is the ancestral home of the San Bushmen. Nomadic hunters who live in harmony with their environment. Kalahari and his sons are their descendants. Their knowledge has been passed on from generation to generation. Renowned for their relationship with the natural world, they spend weeks at a time living off the land. An encyclopedic knowledge of plants and animals means they can survive even the toughest times of year. They're also master trackers. But today, they're after something much bigger. Gemsbok antelope will provide a bountiful feast. But it won't be easy. The modern world is closing in on the Bushmen. Their lands have been divided, forcing them into smaller and smaller territories. Kalahari and his sons must find and kill animals quickly before they escape back onto government property. To aid them, they've recently started using horses to help them cover more ground. Once they spot their target, the race is on. They must reach their prey before it leaves their hunting ground. Failure. The antelope make it to the safety of the game reserve. Kalahari could face jail if he hunts in the protected wilderness. There is a growing movement to make sure the San can live here as they have done for millennia. But Botswana is a country in the midst of great change. 300 kilometers to the south lies the heart of the nation and its most extreme modernization. This is the capital city, Gaborone. The first settlement here dates back to the Stone Age. It's now home to 250,000 people. Botswana is one of the world's fastest growing economies and among the wealthiest nations on the continent. It's also one of the safest places in Africa, epitomized in the nation's High Court. The British governed here from the 19th century until the country gained independence in 1966. This new era manifests in the city's greatest tourist attraction. The Tsodilo monument celebrates the tribal chiefs who negotiated on behalf of their people with Queen Victoria. After their meeting, Botswana became a protectorate within the British Empire. Whilst it couldn't be called freedom, it was better than the alternative, and later kept its population from being severely treated like some of its neighbours. Honouring the chiefs and their decisions is still hotly debated to this day. But for now, they stand proud over a free, independent nation. Today, the city is acclaimed for its lack of tribal affiliation and is now a gathering point for many different cultures and religions, even boasting a Hindu temple. Sri Balaji Temple is the embodiment of South Indian architecture and a rare sight in Southeast Africa. Constructed as a place of prayer for Botswana's 4,000 Hindu residents, its ornate carvings and grand design combine to create a truly spiritual sanctuary. And since opening in 2007, it's become a revered hub of worship.
அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு கோயில் வந்து அதுவும் ஆப்பிரிக்காவில் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு கோயிலும் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரக்சரும் எல்லாருமே வியக்கக்கூடிய உலகத்தில் எந்த இடத்துல இருந்து இங்கே வந்தாலும் இந்த கோயிலை பார்த்து பிரமிக்காதவாளே கிடையாது.
Saravana Guru Kal is the temple's head priest, known as a pujari.
அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு பிரம்மாண்டமான கோயிலில் நம்ம வந்து டிவைனாக பூஜை பண்ணுறதுல எனக்கு ரொம்ப ஒரு பெருமை.
It's his job to lead ceremonies and prayers, including the puja, an act of devotion to one of 33 gods.
இது எனக்கு ரொம்ப ஹாப்பியான விஷயங்கள். பிறந்ததிலிருந்து இந்த ஒரு டிவைனில் இருக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து என்னுடைய ஆம்பிஷன்.
Southeast Africa is home to 3 million people of Indian origin. Many arrived in the 19th century from British India, trying to escape poverty and famine. Religious sites like this keep the spiritual heart of their devotees nourished. On the outskirts of the city, another group of people are performing a religious ceremony steeped in ancient local customs. The Kalanga tribe of Bantu origin are found across southern Africa. Many still share sacred traditions that long preceded colonial boundaries. Today, this group are preparing for one of their most famous ceremonies. A time-honored dance, the Hosanna, otherwise known as the rain dance. It begins with participants covered in black and their heads bowed as a sign of respect. They then pray for rain. And now the celebration can begin. The Nwao Let's Wow Performing Arts Group have been putting on a show for 2 decades. Mutsidiamang Kairos is a long-standing member.
Tokumbila fula kuna ngwali. Toishatila ne kuiboka tisana kwasho timbanji mbo za penyi kwaso. Rosana tumbutika sana ndibentiwa kuti patipa bandongira mumeya.
Each element of the dance is greatly symbolic. Rattles represent the rain. The sound of the drum conveys thunder. And the choreography, the twirling clouds. The colours of their garments even have significance.
Buchana gogu, gusupa fula yei nona, gutema gusupa kuzhina kwe makoli.
Today, the group proudly tour the globe to share their heritage in the modern world, keeping their traditions alive, whilst also providing a livelihood for the group.
Mitiro muswiti swa kalehana ne vuncinci xi songo wila pasi ne vana vedu va tikinini vitivi no vuya va wone xintsi xi liyapo ngone iko ndo tola ku tinko ne sto xikudza ne ntsiku siko sinte to xikudza.
Only time will tell if this amazing dance will stand the test of time. This energetic modern city, together with great desert plains, the rich biodiversity of the Okavango Delta, and the river that feeds it, come together to form an extraordinary country, shaping ancient traditions and sacred rituals that are as important today as they were thousands of years ago. Here, people share their lives with some of Africa's most iconic wildlife. In an ever-changing world, both must adapt in the great land that is Botswana.